When you make a big positive change in your life, the first heroic thing you're doing is setting out the idea of how you want to be, how you want to change. And the second thing is that despite self-sabotaging urges to quit all the effort that this involves and give up and take the pressure off, you don't give up. You stand by yourself and you get through those moments and you keep going with the good change that you're making. But the third heroic thing, and people don't talk about this one as much, is that you stay true to yourself even when the people around you are completely freaked out that you're changing. They don't want you to change, but they can't even admit it. So it's really normal as you're healing from what you went through in the past to find out that people who are supposed to love and support you are relentlessly, sometimes passive-aggressively, pressuring you to go back to the way you were. And when it's your own family, you're going to have weak spots where the implied threat of what they're doing to you, don't change or else we'll get rid of you, you'll be vulnerable to that. So how do you take care of yourself and maintain relationships with people who seem to be determined to make you fail? We're going to talk about holding boundaries around the way you eat today. And my letter is from a woman I'll call Giselle. And she writes, "Hi, Anna. I just watched your video on ninja boundaries. I've been doing bright line eating for 6 years. So just bright line eating, it's a way of eating that I follow. I've made some videos about it. And it's a way of eating where you don't eat sugar, you don't eat flour, you have bounded quantities of food and no snacking in between meals. It's incredibly powerful for losing weight, actually. It's been such a help to me, but it's also a way of eating that you can maintain and just kind of maintain a healthy weight. And it can really bring a lot of energy and focus. And I've made videos about how much it's helped me stay neurologically regulated and able to take care of myself and all the symptoms of CPTSD by the way I eat. Okay, so that's just a little bit about what bright line eating is. So Giselle says, I've been doing bright line eating for 6 years. Anyone who talks to me for 5 minutes knows this. For the past year, I've expressed to my parents repeatedly how unhappy I've been feeling because the sugar cravings became unmanageable. I've been struggling so badly that I feel like I was barely holding my head above water and was on the verge of drowning. She's talking about her ability to abstain from eating sugar. My family doctor prescribed me a medication normally given to addicts back in May, naltrexone. It's taken me from 10 on a 1 to 10 scale down to a 5. I still struggle even with the medication. So 2 weeks before my birthday, which was recent, I was sobbing as I told them that I'd regained a bunch of weight and was restarting bright line eating. I'd been trying to do carnivore, which I considered a more strict version of bright line eating. I don't think it is, as I was just doing the meat. However, I would indulge in ketchup and Coke, both of which I know have sugar in them and obviously are neither carnivore nor bright line eating compatible. I know that that was wrong and only hurt myself. I'm a 10++ on the scale. There's a scale of, how sensitive you are to eating sugar and how much it triggers insatiable hunger and craving. Some people have that. I have that. Okay, there we go. So I had told them about my feelings of pain and shame and that I was restarting bright line eating. All right, I'm circling stuff you say here. I'm going to go through so I can read your whole letter, Giselle, and I'll come back and see if I can help. And I think I can. All right, she says, over roughly a month's time before my birthday, my mom asked me several times how I wanted to celebrate my birthday, and I confessed that I didn't even want to celebrate it at all, given my sugar craving struggles and the traditional association with cake. I haven't had any kind of dessert in 6 years, and normally I do celebrate my birthday, albeit with them serving snack food and me abstaining. She kept asking, and I finally agreed to a small get-together to play games. She asked me about food, and I told her I didn't want any food since we were getting together between 1 and 4 after lunch and before dinner. She served cake and a bunch of snacks. I was stunned when I walked into the room and saw the cake there. She insisted I blow out the candles and then cut and serve the cake. I tried to lightheartedly compromise and tapped the candles out using the serving spatula to put out the flames. Then left the room when she told me to cut the cake. I left saying, I'm not doing that, and then went into the bathroom to do some deep breathing and try to calm down. My daughter told me later that my mom told my husband to cut to cut and serve me a slice of cake while I was out of the room. He refused. After I got back home, I sent my mom a chat message telling her, "Thank you for the birthday party. I appreciate you trying to make it a special day, but I'm completely distressed about the cake. That was awful, and I felt like I'd been punched when I saw that you'd gotten a cake, much less wanted me to blow out candles and cut and serve it. In the future, let's just not celebrate my birthday. I don't want to do that again. I love you." She responded with silence, and my father responded with a scathing email telling me that I'm ungrateful and selfish and that he was disgusted with me. He had previously told me that I am really good at life coaching. I'm enrolled in a 3-month program and had done a few practice sessions with him. Then in the email, he told me I shouldn't be a life coach and that I'm too immature and cause them too much stress and drama. He told me that if the struggle was really that bad, that I should check myself into rehab. He further said that in the future, they would be serving the food that he likes, including cake, and that I need to be grateful and not complain. In all the years I've been doing Bright Line Eating, I've never asked anyone to cater to me and my food. If needed, I'll bring my own food and just abstain. After watching your Ninja Boundaries videos, I realized I should have not sent that chat message, but rather just not celebrated my birthday with them going forward. I'm at a point where I feel like I need to go no contact with them, given my father's attacking who I am as a person. It's been almost 2 weeks, and according to other family members, my parents are still saying that I should have just politely declined and they didn't do anything wrong. Do you have any insights on this? Was I in the wrong here? I've been doing the daily practice around this every day and have an appointment with my therapist next week, but would love to know what your thoughts are. This situation just feels so bizarre and I feel so betrayed. Thank you. And that's from Giselle. Thank you. Oh my gosh, Giselle. I know the energy that you're talking about, but I would have to say that nobody in my close circle of friends is that sabotaging. I do have sabotaging people, but I want to tell you this. Something's wrong with your parents. Something's wrong with your parents that you're not allowed to set a boundary around what you eat. That's ridiculous. And I've seen this before. You see it in families where somebody decides to stop drinking, which I think is more widely understood to be, a very deadly addiction. But what do more people die from? They die from overeating. It's such a positive step you've taken to change the way you eat. And yes, it gets really hard sometimes. And yes, you need support to get through those rough patches where it's just kind of got your mind. It's like any addiction, right? And, every individual needs to handle that, what they eat and how they're trying to recover from problems. They need to handle it in their own way. And anybody who cannot respect your boundaries around that is a real problem. I'm just shocked at some of this, the way they put you down about it. I'm going to let people in the comments talk about what it means when people trash you because you set a boundary. The boundary that you were setting, I think you did it politely. It was fair. It was reasonable. This has been going on for years. The part where I can see that you might have a strange perspective here that I just want to talk about is you were like, but I told them I was struggling. So in your mind, if you tell people who love you that you're struggling, they will take that into account and support you. Something's wrong with your parents that they can't take that into account. They're all about themselves. They're all about what they think is mandatory and important. And it's just like, it's pretty traditional on your birthday. You get to eat what you want. So for one thing, I just want to say, you don't need your parents to throw your birthday party. You even have a husband. You can have your own birthday party or no birthday party. I love that you planned it for 1 to 4 p.m. That's a great way to avoid the cake question. And I've been to parties of people who are careful about their eating, where that's what they do. They have it in the afternoon, not lunch, not dinner, and then they serve things that fit them. So I went to this party once and I didn't know this would be the case. There was a bunch of Diet Coke and there was water and that was it. And I sort of assumed there would be like snacks. This was before I was trying to follow any particular food plan. And I was like, is there anything to eat here? I came hungry, right? It was like a 1 o'clock start and I thought, oh, there'll be food, of course. And people were like, no, we all stick to this food plan. And, that's how we support ourselves is they had all these craft tables set up. There was all this fun stuff to do. And actually, Diet Coke isn't part of Bright Line Eating because we now know that artificial sweeteners can trigger that same sugar craving anyway. So that's not part of it. And I don't miss it. But But at this party, I got to see for the first time that people can have a really fun party. There was lots of friendship and fun, and kids were running around, and nobody was eating anything. You do not have to. You do not have to eat between meals. So there is a world where people can respect that. And I'm guessing if you stuck with bright line eating this long, you know about how to support yourself and how to have fellowship with people who get it. Good for you. So when I do it, some of the things that I've had trouble with are, we'll go to dinner at a friend's house. They'll say, I never can remember what you eat. I never can remember. And I go, well, I just eat like protein and vegetables for dinner. A whole bunch of vegetables, a bunch of protein. I can bring something if that's not what you're cooking. And then, there will just be all this stuff. Like at one time, some friends made like gluten-free bread. And I was like, oh yeah, gluten isn't really the issue. It's just like I just eat vegetables and protein for dinner. And I never eat flour. I won't say never, because sometimes I go off my food plan. But when I'm eating the way that I intend to eat, I don't eat flour. So gluten-free, whatever, that's not really the thing. I don't eat flour. I don't eat sugar. And so they get the gluten-free thing, and then I don't know, just like every food was sort of wiggled around and had sugar in it. And they were like, well, I just didn't understand. Like, couldn't you have ketchup? Yeah. And it's like, whoa, yeah, no, I love ketchup, but no, because it's a lot of sugar. So I don't put it on anything. And it's weird. It like really messes with people, some of them. And I try to make it just the most subtle thing. But for years, every time I see these friends, this woman just gets very concerned and obsessed about me and goes, I just can't remember what you eat. And I go, well, this is great because we're at a Chinese restaurant and I'll just order what I like. And she's like, okay, but I just don't know if this works for you. And it's like, don't worry about it. I'll take care of myself. And all I can guess is that some people, I just think that there's something in them that they are really struggling with, like they are unconsciously unable to control something about themselves. And when they're around somebody who's actually doing something positive in that regard, whether like you're doing food, maybe they have some other thing, they just feel bad about themselves, and it comes out as sabotage. Last year, I tested out, I wanted to see if hypnosis could be helpful to help me do my bright line eating plan. But the hypnotist did not believe in bright line eating and kept under hypnosis saying, no, you really have to eat some sugar. You have to have some ice cream now and then. And I would just say, yeah, thanks. But for me to do this, I just don't have that. It's a lot easier if I don't have it. And it just persisted and it persisted. I did 3 whole appointments like that where I was being pressured to abandon what I was trying to do. And I finally had to quit. And I quit in the nicest way I could, but I was so resentful. I don't think it helped me to go under hypnosis and be sabotaged again and again. It was actually quite counterproductive. But I have tools to undo it. And there's a number of things like that. When I get help for anything, sometimes people who consider themselves trauma-informed, they're like, can you just tell me all your trauma? And I say, no, I don't talk about my trauma except in very specific circumstances. But I don't do it for I don't do it for hypnosis. I don't do it for some sort of like body treatment or something, or at the doctor's office. Like, I just know about myself. If I talk about my trauma, it's not good for me and it's not purposeful. Or you go into the doctor's office and they want to know your history of everything. They don't need to know your history of everything, actually. You get to say no. You get to not share information you don't want to share. It's a lot of stuff they ask you in a doctor's office is not medically relevant. So you get all these questions. So there's they're literally just tearing you down and putting you down. And you know what they say about parents, like they know where your buttons are because they installed them. There's a certain amount of truth to that. So sometimes people write me letters and I'm like, hey, you're a grown up, you got to set boundaries with your parents. And the only way I'm going to say that is stop letting them run your birthday party for you. That's like not necessary, and that will take care of that. But I hear this, they don't get you, they don't support you, they don't honor your boundaries. So I can imagine that any sort of get together with them is going to be difficult. So with no contact, I know a lot of people need to go no contact with abusive parents or family members, and I understand that. I would just say if you're considering that, don't put a time limit on it yet. Just, take some time. I think a gentle way to do it is to not make too much fanfare about you're doing it and just say, oh, I'll be really busy the next couple of months. And then when 2 months has passed and you still don't want to see them, you don't say anything, or you just say, oh, I'm so sorry. I've got all this stuff going on. I can't see you right now. Okay, bye. Or you can not reply to them. But sometimes I think if you have CPTSD and if you have struggles like you do with, like, you're trying to deal with your addiction right now. So anything that's triggering or upsetting, and that would be either when they sabotage you or you interacting with them in such a way that creates any kind of drama that triggers them to start giving you crap about who you are. You just don't want to give them that opportunity. And sometimes the way to prevent that from happening is not to go, that's it, I'm not talking to you, which sets them off, right? Is just to do a very subtle little fade, just a little gray rock there, where you're not dealing with them, but you're not announcing that that's what you're doing. So you're trying to prevent them getting set off to do their hostile and abusive behavior toward you. Not that they deserve for you to go quiet and let them get away with it. That's not why. It's because you need peace and quiet to deal with your boundaries and your recovery. With people as selfish as they are demonstrating themselves to be, there's often just no, it's never going to change. So it's you deciding how much limited contact you'd like to have because you want to have some kind of a relationship with them, and how you're going to keep them away from things that are hard for you. I love that your husband refused to serve you a piece of cake. See, you have an ally. You have somebody who gets it. Good gosh. So I can't even begin to interpret like why they are acting this way, but it's not a good sign that they're trustworthy or that they have their head together or that they're going to come around. I just don't, it's not sounding really good. And I'm really sorry you don't get to have that. I'm really sorry you don't get to have that. And I imagine there's some history there. And so I wish you good luck on all of this. If you love this topic, I've got a video lined up, and it's called You Can't Make People Respect Your Boundaries. And it's about what to do in that situation. The video's right here, and I will see you very soon.